Everything can change in a single day. A small conflict can shape the future of England, the power of the throne, and touch the lives of thousands of people. 3 men, a seasoned noble, a Norman duke, and a Norwegian king, are going to fight to claim it all. And that fight is about to begin, destined to be remembered forever in the pages of history. Hello, I'm Imran. Today, I'll be discussing the battle in 1066 that forever changed England, the Battle of Hastings. Let's see how these 3 claimants came together, and how a small conflict altered the fate of an entire nation. In 1066, England was in turmoil. When King Edward the Confessor passed away, a wave of uncertainty spread across the kingdom regarding succession. Edward had no children, and he had not clearly designated an heir. Taking advantage of this power vacuum, the powerful nobles of the country decided to fight for the throne themselves. Harold Godwinson, who was Edward's closest advisor and an experienced military leader, naturally sought to establish his own authority. He believed that only an experienced English noble could protect the country. However, outside England, Duke William of Normandy also claimed the throne. He argued that Edward had previously promised him succession. William believed that the throne should be his, not merely by force but through a legitimate claim. The Norwegian king, Harold Hardrada, also planned an invasion. He claimed that, according to previous agreements with Norway, the throne was his right. The tension among the 3 claimants escalated to the point that war became inevitable. Harold Godwinson first faced the Norwegian invaders. At the Battle of Stamford Bridge, the fighting was fierce and bloody. Harold Hardrada and his troops entered England, but Harold wasted no time in confronting them. The 2 sides clashed, with rocks, arrows, and swords flying. Harold emerged victorious, but his army suffered significant losses. Exhausted, injured soldiers and the long march meant Harold soon faced yet another looming threat. William crossed the sea from Normandy with his troops to England. His forces were well-trained, well-equipped, and experienced. Cavalry, wealthy nobles, and seasoned soldiers together formed a powerful army. William's goal was clear: to seize the English throne and strengthen his empire. Despite fatigue, Harold prepared his troops for battle. He knew the Normans were highly skilled, mobile, and aggressive. Yet his sense of duty and experience kept him ready for the fight. The soldiers, though exhausted, were resolute. They knew that if they lost, their country, their lives, and their culture were all at stake. That foggy morning at Hastings was filled with tension. Cavalry and infantry stood silently, yet their eyes betrayed the anticipation of combat. The battle erupted immediately with shield wall formations, arrows, and swords creating intense chaos. Cavalry charges, defenses, and tactics unfolded in a thrilling clash that history would never forget. In the final moments of the battle, Hastings was in complete collapse. Harold Godwinson was killed, and his soldiers were defeated. The victor was William, Duke of Normandy, who assumed the throne of England. Under his leadership, Norman nobles began exerting control over land and resources. England's political and social structure was permanently altered, and the direction of the nation's future was rewritten. William's victory was not only military, it marked the beginning of a new chapter in history. French language, culture, and feudal systems entered England, changing the nation's laws, language, and society forever. This battle proved that the fate of a country depends not only on the strength of armies but also on leadership, strategy, and courage. In conclusion, this extraordinary battle demonstrates how a single day of conflict can permanently reshape the destiny of a nation. One can reflect on how this fight not only shaped history but also transformed the lives of people and the structure of society. The morning of Hastings was foggy, filled with a strange mixture of tension and fear in the air. Military camps were set up across the northern fields of England. Cavalry and infantry stood quietly, but in each soldier's eyes was the anticipation and intensity of the coming battle. Harold Godwinson rallied and inspired his troops one last time, knowing that not only experienced Norman soldiers awaited them, but also a decisive clash that would make history. William, Duke of Normandy, entered the field with his army. His soldiers were well organized, well equipped, and experienced. The cavalry displayed their strength and pride, while the Norman soldiers were ready for attack. Determination was evident in William's eyes, and every step he took reflected his resolve to defeat his opponents. The battle erupted fiercely from the very first moments. Using the shield wall tactic, Harold's soldiers defended their position. Their strong discipline and experienced leadership allowed them to withstand the Norman assaults. Yet the Normans used their cavalry charges and sharp archery skills to create pressure and exploit weaknesses. In the center of the field, the tension reached its peak. Cavalry charged, Norman soldiers attacked with zeal, and the shield wall began to crack. Stones, arrows, and swords flew through the air, each devastating strike creating new fear and excitement. Harold knew that only the patience and courage of his soldiers could ultimately save them. The battle raged on for hours. Soldiers, exhausted, wounded, and bloodied, refused to yield. William's strategy gradually took effect. Through 3 major attacks, he managed to breach the shield wall. Harold's troops fought valiantly, but the balance of power slowly shifted in favor of the Normans. In the final moments, a historic event occurred that would be remembered forever. William cunningly trapped his opponent, breaking the shield wall completely. Harold Godwinson was wounded, and the outcome of the battle was decided: victory for the Normans. The throne of England now passed into William's hands, permanently altering the nation's history. The Battle of Hastings was not just a military confrontation, it was the result of politics, strategy, courage, and historical circumstances coming together. What happened in this battle changed the future of England, its language, culture, and system of governance forever. In the final moments of the battle, Hastings fell into complete collapse. Harold Godwinson was killed, and his soldiers were defeated. The victor was William, Duke of Normandy. He assumed the throne of England as the new king, and under his leadership, Norman nobles began to exert influence over local lands and resources. England's political and social structure was permanently changed, and the course of the nation's future was rewritten. William's victory was not only military, it marked the beginning of a new chapter in history. French language, culture, and feudal systems entered England, altering the country's laws, language, and society forever. The Battle of Hastings remains permanently etched in history, a conflict that redirected the destiny of an entire kingdom. This battle demonstrated that the fate of a nation depends not only on the strength of armies but also on leadership, strategy, and courage. After hearing the story of this unforgettable battle, what do you think? How could a single day of fighting change the course of an entire nation's history? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to learn more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.